Hello, everybody. It's Sonia and Esther here with Role Models. Looking forward to another really insightful episode where we go deep into what we're both working on, thinking about, and hopefully share some tips for you all, our listeners, on how you can uplift yourself in your own life and use technology and mindfulness in your journey, no matter where you are. We are both women, as you can tell from my voice. We are in separate parts of the country of the United States, and we are excited to be here to share a little bit of our journeys with you today. So how are you doing, Esther?
Yeah, so good, so good. So excited to do this week. Another really great thing I think about what we're doing is we both have audiences, and feel free to comment and ask questions if you guys have, below this video. And yeah, I'll let you take it away, Sonia.
Awesome, awesome. So before I started recording today, we were having a little chat about some of the things we've been thinking about. So I'm just going to dive right into it. One of the things that I've been
Go for
thinking
it.
about is life transformation phases and how for each of us, you're speaking from the frame of being a woman, but I do believe all people have life transformation phases. But as a woman, we will all experience various points in life which we are called upon to either go inward or be more outward. And then through that period, on the other side of it, there's usually some new awareness. And there's a few, I think, big periods of life. One is adolescence. And then I think another big one that we hit is sort of around, I don't really want to call it midlife because I don't think that's accurate, but it's kind of like the point in life once I think we're fully adult. You know, if now the science is saying that basically we're technically not finished forming in our brains until we're 25 or 26 now, it keeps getting later, right?
Right, yeah.
So really, like, by the time you're in your late 30s and heading into your 40s, this is a time where you've been a fully fledged adult for a number of years. And I think it's a time also where we start to assess where we're at. And then there's also biological changes that are happening in our bodies. But I've been really interested in lately, Esther, and I'm curious because you have so many insights from your religion and from your own community and culture. If any of this is a match, or if any of this in your yoga and coaching is something that you have touched upon. But in the West, when we view these life phases, especially the life phases that happen after our so-called youth, we often view these periods of life as very scary and negative, like we're losing something. It's all about loss. And so, especially for women, I think, even just the term for this period that I have not named yet, we're going to call it perimenopause and then heading into menopause. Well, even the word menopause, it's like, it means pausing of the monthly cycle, but in English, menopause, and it's just loaded. It's a loaded term, and I think we all want to kind of put it into something a little more palatable because we have to live our lives, right? And we don't want to live our lives like going through phases that are transitions that seem to be only negative. And I think transformation is not something that should be viewed as negative. But in the ancient cultures, because the elders of society are revered and play extremely important central roles, going through these periods of life for a woman, like in Japan, they see it as a time where the blood that has been, it's so cool, the blood that has been let out is now kept in, and the energy of that blood can be used by the woman to do good works for the world. Like that's her time to do these good works for the world. I'm like, yes, that is the reframe I was looking for. So I'm curious on your take if you've done any like exploring on these ideas.
I mean, I definitely have done a little bit of exploring in that, and I think from like a natural trajectory of the world in general, I've heard once that it takes a woman about 9 months to create anything. So it's not only child, it's also if you do a project, if you look back at anything that you've kind of tried to develop, it usually is like a 9-month period of being able to develop something. So there's a few things. Number one, I think part of the concept of the West is holding on to stuff. So we're transitioning out of that phase. Like more in the 70s and 80s, it was so much about your assets.
Mm.
It's like how much you can have, and transitioning into a stage where it's more about your access, like
Mm.
what you have access to. And the more you hold on to, the less access you have. So the thing is if you think about it, like nowadays, you don't even need a lot to live.
Mm.
Like, little, you can do a couple things, you can have a couple things, and minimalism is like a big one that's coming back.
Mhm.
And just like letting go, because people want subconscious connection to like a higher power, to greater things, like that physicality, the materialistic. As much as there is all this flashy stuff out there, people are craving that connection
And
so
experiences, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And the thing is when we think about our cycles in general, this is something that's really important. I mean, for us, people will always, coming from like a Jewish background and religious background, there's a balance of two things. People have a lot of negative to say about it, but you only hear the negative from the people that are publicly complaining. Most of the majority is highly, highly functional, highly, highly satisfied with the results and the evolution of their experience, including myself.
Mhm.
Which people will say to me, I had 5 kids by the age of 27.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? I was running 2 careers as well. So it wasn't
Yeah.
like nobody forced me to be a homemaker, and nobody forced me to do anything. Definitely, just like I look at it almost like a healthy diet. If you're using those early years to do certain things, right, you're not going to get everything perfect.
Yeah. It's a
But there's a
journey.
certain accountability, right there, but there's a certain accountability that comes developing things when you're younger, using that energy. So like the joke I would say is like, well, all my friends were doing stupid things in their 20s. This was my stupid thing, but it wasn't a stupid
Right.
thing. It's something
Yeah.
that's created some really, really great results. And there were years that I was definitely frustrated, but I figured it out, and I've come to really love the results because I've had to push myself into. It's like showing up for a certain workout. You show up for the workout, it's tough, the accountability is tough, but when you see the results, it's like incredible. It's
Yeah.
incredible. So that's one piece of it. The thing that I think, when you're talking about loss and menopause or premenopausal stuff, I think it's that concept of trying to still hold on to something. When you think about like yoga and meditation, the goal is to constantly be in the sense of flow.
Mhm.
We've talked about that sense of connection also, like a couple weeks ago, like in that first podcast, where like it's about turning that light on. It's about being fully connected. And when you're fully connected, you're not holding on. It's not about trying to hold on to something or mourn the loss of something. You're constantly flowing.
Mhm.
You're there in the experience, and you're fully kind of aware,
Mhm.
and on a deeper level. So I think it's a combination of a few things. One thing I've learned is we don't have as much time as we think we do, even when we think we're younger.
Yeah.
And another thing is when we're younger, we're coming from a place of less expansion,
Mm.
where we're coming from more a constricted place, where we think we only have enough time in the day or only enough hours. But you'll be surprised if you push yourself, as in, I'm not saying to do anything irresponsible, but you have more energy than you think.
Mm.
And that's a thing. For men, they're more time constricted. For women, we're more energy based.
Mm.
So it's really kind of tapping into that energy flow, energy cycle, and learning where that ecosystem is for you, that holistic experience where it's completely whole, where you can kind of start flowing through it rather than looking at what you're gaining and losing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like it's not like a transaction with the
Yeah,
universe
yeah, yeah, yeah.
or with
And
yourself.
different women, and that's the thing, that different women develop different things.
Mm.
Not all women want children. Not all
Mhm.
women want businesses.
Yeah.
Not all women want careers. Not all women, every woman craves something a little different, and every single one has a mission in the world. I think the only thing we should be accountable for is to look deep within ourselves and see what those deep desires are.
Mm.
Um,
Yes.
one of the things in Jewish culture, like there's a saying that like with desire and nature, and basically the core word of desire, which is taiva comes from teva, which is nature. And the
Huh.
thing is that in kind of a misconstrued world, people will say, don't listen to your desires.
Mhm.
Desires are bad things. But
Mhm.
when you really look at it, the core of every desire is the deep nature.
Mm.
So there's addictive behavior, there's unhealthy desire, and then there's just this natural instinct.
Mhm.
There's this natural place where you know you're completely connected to. So it's always important to ask yourself, am I using this as an escape? Like,
Mm.
is this an escape or an addiction? And part of it is usually you're running away from the thing you really want and need. And it's really and sometimes it comes from a place where you're like, I don't feel like I deserve it,
Yeah.
or I don't have enough space to hold all this frequency,
Mhm.
So the thing is when you think about desire as a good thing, like as a beautiful
Mm.
thing, healthy desire, that kind of is by nature your nature.
I love that.
And that will help drive you towards what you're going after. And I feel like that's where also when you get to the stage where we are, you won't feel as much loss if
Mm.
that is kind of what you're
Where
feeling.
where
Yeah,
you're
or where you're
yeah, you're
yeah,
pointing your
yeah,
ship. That
yeah.
actually makes total sense and aligns, I think, with the idea that this period of life, the not just transformation in general, but these like periods of adult life where we have the opportunity to really assess where we've been and where we're going. You know, it's almost like you get to a clearing and you can look back at the terrain that you've come from and decide how much of that you want to bring with you into that next chapter. But there's a lot of deciding, Esther. Like, I think that you said it so beautifully. The one thing that we can be accountable for and really should be accountable for is understanding what our true nature is. And this period of life feels like an opportunity to really dig into that. But I think, at least speaking personally, a lot of us have to clear. We have to clear. We have to clear
Yeah,
almost like that clearing that we've come to
yeah,
is we've got a lot of stuff from from the first number of years of life, and that experience gives us perspective, but there can be pain that's put into us that we realize that pain is no longer, it's not serving me, it's maladaptive, it's like the result of the pain, which might be guard. For me, it was a lot of guard that I had to have in my career, you know, because like when you start to let your guard down, ladies who are listening, and gents, if you're ladies and your partners, your wives are experiencing this is normal. But once you start to look inward and you start to really like take your guard down, let more flow happen. I have been finding like emotion hits me out of the blue. And yes, it perhaps is hormonal, but there's also an aspect of I have not dealt a lot of these things. You know, we can't sometimes, especially when we're parents. You know, I also had my children
yeah,
young. And when you're raising kids, you don't have time to spend a lot of time working through your, you know, if you have trauma or if you have, you know, things that you know are kind of slowing you down, and maybe you don't even realize you have those things. But at these points in life where your kids get to a certain age or you're at a certain age, you can have a look and like sort of maybe put your head up for the first time for some of us.
yeah.
And what this looks like sometimes is a bit messy, right? Like emotion doesn't cooperate with our day to day. I'm sitting in the dentist chair the other day getting my teeth cleaned, for example, and they're playing soft rock on the radio. And you know that song, oh gosh, which one was I'm wearing these goofy glasses so the bright light doesn't like blind me, which is
Okay.
great because she's got my mouth open and like scraping away, and I'm listening to this song. Oh, it's Sorry, Sorry Night. It's not even the saddest song, but it's like, it's a beautiful song, and I'm crying under these stupid glasses, and I'm like hoping she's not gonna wonder why this chick is like face is getting over it. Like, what is going on? And then I'm like, you know, but here's the interesting thing too. I think when you're starting to get in touch with these ways of being and allowing, other people feel safe to open up around you. So then my dentist, who I've been seeing, you know, he's been our family dentist for like, I don't know, 12 years. We love him, you know, so like you only see him a couple times a year, but you definitely kind of know a person after a while, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
so he'll always come in and chat. And, you know, he comes in and he to see how I'm doing and everything, and after the cleaning, and he's like, how you doing? How are you doing, Dr. Boudreaux? And he's like, well, you know, honestly, I don't know. And he just like kind of shared with me like some stuff that was going on that is like, really in line with the stuff that's going on for me. I'm like, wow, this is so interesting. I am really grateful to be a conduit here, as well as like opening up the space for myself, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
I think also like another thing that like definitely in that kind of situation, you're in a space where you're super vulnerable. Like there isn't much that you can control when you're in the dentist chair.
That's true.
And you have people
You
like
really have to
digging
let
in.
go.
Yeah, you have to let go and really kind of go into that space of
Yeah,
being aligned
that's
and
true.
just completely trusting. And I think this is also the thing where when we're going into that space of clearing, in that space where, you know, we're deciding what we need to do next. I try to tell people this a lot with there's almost like two paths that you could take. There's the one where you can kind of you're mature enough to understand, let's say, the abusers and the people that have taken advantage of you, and the list goes on and on and on. The world, the universe, masculinity, femininity, manipulation, all of it. The thing is, you can spend your life trying to fight that or create awareness around that, or you can go into more of a feminine space of knowing that you can't control the only thing you can do is create an awareness about who you are and how you're feeling. And the thing is that when we spend more time on creating awareness around the value of who we are and how we feel rather than trying to expose the negativity, what happens is we create space for other people be open to that too. And I had this kind of in the fork in the road with raising children, and I was like, well, you know, raising children, I can't protect them from the world.
Yeah.
I can obviously be responsible and look out for them. But the only thing I can do, if I really want them to be healthy and well-rounded, I need to set a really, really clear example of what it's like to really take care of myself and let go of things I can't control. It's not a battlefield. And the more accountability I present or within myself, and then obviously as an example for them, as in the value of my time, my energy, and how important that is, rather than leaning into the importance of all the external stuff, what happens then is it creates a space and a pathway for them as well to put themselves first. I was saying, I was talking to somebody, actually, it was one of my sisters. I was talking to her about the difference between somebody liking you and respecting you. And she was kind of commenting, she's like, oh, you know, this person really likes me. And it was like she's trying to get a job, and then she's trying to get one of her kids into school. Like it was a few things. And she keeps on using the word like. And I said, the problem with that is that if that is what you're presenting, as in you have this fear of people not liking you, they're just going to throw you a bone in the sense of they'll give you enough words to make you feel liked, whatever that is. And what ends up happening is that you walk away this kind of illusion. And I said, what you have to do is you have to see if this person respects you, doesn't necessarily like you, but respects you. For example, for a job, this person is going to pay you on time. They're going to value your work. It doesn't matter if they like you.
They're going to
It
pay
doesn't
you
matter.
what you should get paid.
Exactly. And a lot of women I find run into this issue where it's
Yes.
so much about the way they look. And again, I'm not knocking any of
Yeah.
this. Do you?
Yeah.
Do you? But there should be more focus on, is this functional? Is there respect here? Is there follow through? Right? Because if somebody does respect you, right, it's going to be a functional environment in the long run. It'll be a good job because she was coming from a place where she was working for something where she got the fame and the attention, but they're not paying for already like 8-9 months.
Yeah. Ugh.
And they keep manipulating it with we're gonna give you this attention, and they're not giving you a paycheck. And
That's
a
cheap.
lot of people, and she's like, yeah, but I've gotten other jobs out of it. And I said to her, but that is not, there's a lack of authenticity there when we go into those habits. It's not a healthy, it's to lean,
Yeah.
to approach life from. So it's also like
Yes.
reprogramming some of your brain, in the sense of, when you understand your value and you put yourself first, instead of focusing on the mistreatment of how other people might have mistreated you in your life and whatever you've experienced, letting some of that go and focusing on, when you're thinking of, where do I want to go? What do I want to do? What do I want to experience or accomplish? It's making sure that there is a full package
Yeah.
where, yes, there's divine intervention, in the sense that, and this is kind of from a spiritual aspect, just knowing that there's certain things that give us perspective, right? And you know this from either religion or and yoga, and from anything in
If you've
general,
had
but how the
children, if
universe,
you've
yeah.
known someone who's
And it's just
died. Yeah.
right, exactly. And just different experiences in life will teach you certain things, and those things kind of give you another, let's say, set of glasses. So,
That's a good
for
analogy.
example, I've learned to really appreciate little things, really, really little things, that if I didn't go through what I've went through, I don't think I would have this profound appreciation, where some people would think I'm crazy. Like, they're like, you're just so optimistic. Like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, no, I've been through enough to understand the value of certain things.
What are some of the
And
little things that you appreciate? I'm just curious.
so even like good breath work, when my nervous system is calm, sunshine, like really good smells. Like, I know, like, the smell of jasmine is incredible for me. Like, I made coffee this morning and I get these amazing beans.
Yes, you do.
One of my friends,
amazing coffee.
Yes. So I have this friend Nate in LA, and he's like an ex-Marine. He's an awesome guy. And he has a roaster, so it's like a small business. And I grounded the coffee and then brewed it, and just, I took a minute to like smell the mullet and allow that to ground me. There was kind of this, I had this moment in the morning. I was like, should I just do instant coffee and just the hell with life, or
No.
should I take another minute? And the last few days I've been feeling a little crappy, and I've just been doing this. I've been having like 3 or 4 cups of coffee, but like this really crappy instant coffee.
Yeah.
And if I just did what I did this morning, where I stopped, I took a moment to just envelop the entire experience, 1 cup was enough.
Yeah, right? Isn't that amazing? It's always the first one that's the best anyway. We'll drop a
Right.
link to Nate's roastery in
I'm going to, I'm gonna, we'll do that for sure.
I love that, Esther. Do you want to hear a few of my favorite things? Because I just think these are fun to listen to.
Please, yes.
Okay, a good night's sleep and how you feel after waking up when you've just like rested so deeply.
Yeah.
The feeling after a really long hike or a walk that's like, a really good one, that you're like exhausted and it's a chilly like fall or winter day, and you come home and there's a pot of soup or some stew or chili, and the food is just like the most amazing thing in the world. Holding hands with somebody you love.
That's so special.
Right? Like, these are those things that, or here's one that all of us parents know so well. When your kids are sleeping and they don't know you're looking at them, and they have that sweet, peaceful face, and no matter what age they are, you can see them as like a little kid, it's just beautiful. Like, we're always hurrying and rushing and pushing. I totally get what you're saying with the instant coffee. Like, it's like we do things to ourselves to push ourselves through. And whenever I do that, I always make crappy work, bad decisions, and feel worse afterwards. It's like just taking that moment to actually honor the day that you have and the body that you're in. And this life.
Higher the value, like the
I believe
it's that. Like, everything's up to us on a daily basis, and it's not like we're not gonna, like, we're gonna have, like, there are ups and downs, and that's okay. But like, you don't get this perfect day every single day, but some days you just, like, there's so much to fall in love with if we're in that space to be open to it.
And some days just knowing what those things are for us that get us back to there. If we're having a really crappy day, we might not turn that day into a amazing day, and that's okay. Like you said, like we have to have those low frequency. Your newsletter this week sums it up perfectly.
Yeah.
Check out Esther's letters. We'll drop a link to that as well.
Yeah.
There.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great article. I love the theme. This week was, it's a kind of what we're talking about, right? It's, we're spending this time in different energies, and instead of like trying to always get to a different place, just actually realizing that that place we're in right now is part of our process, but we don't have to annihilate ourselves while we're there. And that, I don't, for some of us,
Yeah,
we can get into this negative self-talk, whether it's drinking instant coffee or thinking that we're terrible people or not good enough. That's the stuff we have to let go, no matter what state
yeah.
we're in.
And the thing is, like, also, like, some days you'll be in more pain. Like,
Yeah.
I know there's some days where I can feel the pain. I really feel it. And as you said before, with like the tears and the dentist chair, like, it just, some days there's more of that. And those are days that I'm grateful for. It's like the days that the days that I really allow myself to go there.
Yeah.
So I'm not like, why am I there? I'm like, wow, like I get to have so much compassion for myself in that state. Because you can either spiral and look for somebody else to validate what you're feeling, or you could be like, wow, okay, I'm like really here. I'm raw. I'm feeling vulnerable. This is beautiful. There's something so beautiful about just being there.
Yeah, and even if it's like the kind of sadness that is making your stomach feel really tight, the pain that sometimes we do feel it in our different parts of our body, depending on what it is. And I think for me, I've been working on that constriction so that when I'm having that, I don't let that, because for a lot of us, feelings get stuck in our bodies. We don't maybe know the difference between us and the feeling, because the feelings come on and they're so intense, and it's almost impossible to remember yourself without the feeling in the moment. And I've been really working on, you said it last week, riding the wave of the feeling, like that is coming in and it's cresting and it's hitting and it will go out. And if you can just actually almost go with that white noise of the tidal flow, the other side is going to be even better, because maybe what it comes down to is we need to stop attaching value judgment to all of our feelings and all of our life experiences, like this is good, this is bad, black and white.
I think that also kind of boils down to like people try to look at their pain and then attribute it to a trauma. I heard this thing recently that people are like, trauma is just a word that's just overused.
Perhaps.
As in, the pain could just be, it can be such a valuable thing. Like, if you, instead of like, try this next time that any of you are feeling something, and instead of saying whose fault is this or blame it on somebody, just internalize that feeling and notice how you're feeling. There's a depth attached to it, and there's a vulnerability attached to it that kind of shows you your depth.
Yeah.
And in yoga, there is this concept where they say, if you want to know how tall you can stand, notice how far you can bend. And to be able to stand straight, you need to be able to bend completely. So if you want to know how straight somebody will stand, it's going to depend on if they can touch their toes or not. And if you want to know if they can touch their toes, the same way thing goes for how tall they can stand.
Interesting.
That will tell you. So if somebody has more of a hunch, there's a higher chance they can't touch their toes.
Sure.
But this also internalizes as an emotional flexibility, because physical flexibility will reflect on emotional and spiritual flexibility too. But the thing is that when we think of that from an emotional sense, the deeper we can feel for ourselves, right, without attaching or blaming or just saying, I'm sensitive, I'm feeling this now.
Yeah.
The strong, just like with a bend, the stronger, the taller you will be able to stand emotionally without even having to apologize for it. For so many of us, we're like, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel this way? Because there's a fluctuation of sorts.
Yeah.
And you can't have one without the other. And a lot of people use the word empathy. And it's again, another word that's like thrown around a lot. just taking that time to sit with your emotions, just letting it go where it goes without attaching blame.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because we can be emotional. How
Yeah.
wonderful is that?
I find okay, so my take on the trauma being
Yeah.
perhaps it is we hear it all the time, but I that one I feel like there's sometimes things get oversaturated because they've been so under talked about for so long. It's almost like a pendulum swinging.
Interesting. Interesting.
And
Yeah.
that one I feel like we started to use it and hear it a lot as we went through the collective trauma of global pandemic, and people started to spend a lot more time with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was awesome, spending time with yourself, not the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I know it was extremely hard for many people who were not ready to spend time alone, and
Yeah.
because, if you can't be in your own skin and you can't stand being alone, it's possible that you need to do that, that you're hiding from things you need to deal with. And I think that like these terms and normalizing them, even just like normalizing therapy, I feel like that blossomed after the pandemic and during the pandemic, that people can
Yeah.
go and talk to someone about their feelings, their problems, their history that they've bottled down. Because even though I do agree, I don't think it's useful to spend a lot of time ruminating and blaming. And in fact, I think forgiveness, if and when you can get to that point, is the biggest release for yourself. Even if you never forgive in face to face somebody who's hurt you, what it does to yourself is it frees that energy up for all the other
Yeah.
good work you need to do.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of us, like if we don't even acknowledge that we have this pain, and sometimes I think that's for sure, that's like step one. It's like you have been going around with this bundle, and I actually feel like a lot of men do this because we women are raised to be more in touch with our feelings, and we do exist in a place of feeling more. But I think men have, in the West anyway, are so cultured to not discuss in great granularity the range of feelings they have. Like, it's unfortunate, but I think that there's so much tamping down of experience that the natural result is a lot of anger. And, whether you're male or female, I think that's true. So you first have to just at least acknowledge that you've been carrying stuff around, because it will start getting in your way by triggers. That's the thing, right? You start to get triggered by things and
Right.
you're like, I don't want to show up in my career this way. For me, that's what happened. I had a lot of yelling men around me when I was growing up, like very aggressive. And that started to show up in the way that I was interacting with like aggressive men in my career. Because there are aggressive people out there, right? But men in particular who would sort of do that dominant thing that was, it's not appropriate, but people are inappropriate all the time. They're sort of asserting their place by being hyper aggressive. It put me into a mode that was like, I was like 8 years old and being screamed at by my dad. And that's what woke me up and made me realize something's up. Like, I obviously have something I haven't dealt with, because like, why is 8-year-old Sonia perking her head up and going, this is unsafe? I'm like,
Yeah.
no, this is like, I'm at the peak of my career. I should like communicate my thoughts about how this man is handling things. But it was like I just shut down. That started me on the exploration. But then I got to this point where I found somebody who studied kind of alongside Carl Jung, and then branched off from Jung's teaching. His name is Joseph Adler. And his whole premise was basically like to take what you know about yourself and then go forward. Like, don't
Yeah.
spend so much time always regret. And that was his big problem with both Jung and Freud. Although there's many, many reasons why Freud could just be removed from the psychology textbooks in my mind. But even Jung,
Yeah.
who has like this holistic approach, it's all looking back. And I think there's somewhere in the middle where like you need to deal with the rest of your life ahead of you. That's how you're going to bring the good energy forward into the world.
I think it's, I mean, first of all, that's so well said. And it's such a great perspective. And I think there's two things. Number one is asking yourself, what is your relationship with pain in itself, or your pain or your feelings, right? Like, so that is number one. And then the other thing, for my first book, Interior Designer, I talk about the interior design in the sense that, like, on a daily basis, we are walking around communicating not only in words but in our actions how others can treat us and how we
Definitely.
want to be treated. That's a
Yeah.
better way of saying it.
Or maybe
Again,
how we feel we deserve to be
right,
treated.
exactly. And a lot of that will like be attributed to how much preparation we've done, how much research we've done. So some of it we can't control. And the stuff that we can't control, it's very important not to blame ourselves.
Yes.
That's a big one where we're like, this is my fault. Just knowing that, especially when it comes to business or even with relationships, it's trial and error. And there's certain things that are just, you gotta try your best. And that's it. You can't do more than your best.
Yeah.
But the only thing you can do is step into the best self you are. And I think that that's a thing, that it's just the self-awareness of who we are and how we're presenting ourselves. Like I always say, like okay, so in Middle Eastern culture, there's this, like, I have Middle Eastern, ancestry. So there's this thing where, like, if and some of you might have seen this, where there's this like living room. You walk into a Middle Eastern house and there's this living room and all the couches are covered either with plastic or something else, and it's only for guests. And it's like one of these rooms where, like, I remember as a kid, you want to like just go into that room, like I would go into my grandmother's house. You want to go into that room and sit on the couch. And she's like, no, 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 no. It's not for sitting.
Right.
And it's like so frustrating because so why is it here if it's not for sitting? And so when we think of interior design, the function of design is not just to look pretty, but it's for a functional aspect of, is this place welcoming? Is it communicating what it's supposed to do? Simple aspect, a chair.
Yeah.
If a chair is not for sitting, right? You have some that go into museums as art pieces. But if we think of the functionality, the bare bones of what is the functional aspect of a chair, it's for sitting. Now, determining on what it, like, I guess, task is done, right? So if you're a gamer, you're going to need a very different chair than a dining room chair that's going to be at a dining room table or an office chair, right? So depending on the aspects, there are going to be different adjustments that are going to be attributed to that design in the chair, and then the affordability, right? But the thing is that the utility is to sit in a specific function, right? In interior design, for so many of us, when we're operating from a place where, like with that dining room, the living room, we're like, okay, we created this really pretty thing,
all this energy into it.
And then it's like, but please don't come in here. Don't touch. It's not for you.
Yeah,
it's for something else. And there's this, So it's this thing of taking that time to notice when you're creating what you're creating, like even when you're attributing certain traumas, like what are you attributing those traumas to? Like, have you communicated something or miscommunicated something? Like whenever something happens to me, outside of, I try not to blame myself, but then I try to take accountability. I'm like, where have I miscommunicated? Where have I not said the right thing, or have I not been clear, basically? Like, so where have I not been clear in the ask?
Right. Yeah.
And that's really important. So
I do want to make a distinction between, I think the traumas a lot of us are talking about are from childhood. And like, I think the quickest way to work on healing those is actually to do inner child work, because you can never blame the child that was traumatized or that was abused, but that child is still inside of you and that child is still hurting. And if you go inward, go through meditation and journaling and just kind of sitting with yourself, and like you said, letting those feelings be part of your experience, I believe you can start to tell your inner child, to coax your inner child to a feeling of deep safety, because you are the adult that is taking care of the inner child. And that child is with you, just like every single phase of your life is part of you. But some of us have like a locked box, and we kind of can't move forward until we at least acknowledge that what happened to us as children was not our fault. And, for many of us, and women in particular, we were conditioned to be people pleasers, like to the extreme degree.
Obedience. Yeah, obedience and
Which also cut us off from our own feelings and our own opinions about things. So I think just even if you can get to a point where you can meet yourself and say, look, Sonia, for me, you little girl Sonia are safe now. I've got you. I can hold your hand and we can walk through these next periods of life and you're going to be great. And I need you there because we do need all of ourselves. And I think that aspect of childhood is such an important part of the play and the lightness that we need in our life and we need in our world, so
definitely.
On top of that, then as adults, certainly we have to realize, how are we showing up? Are we just getting upset at everyone else because we don't want to look at ourselves? I think that's something that we can fall prey to for sure, blaming everyone around us, but because we just feel bad all the time. But there is, I just wanted to make that distinction between being a child and beating that.
For sure. 100%. And no, I totally agree. The way you kind of look at that child in your present life is also where are my patterns repeating themselves?
Yes, absolutely. That's where they show up.
Right. And that's kind of, so sometimes people will be like, I had some people complain lately about the inner child work. I'm so sick of doing inner child work. And I'll be like, it's fine. So don't do it as a child.
Yeah.
Just notice where you are repeating patterns, because that is where I guess the trauma also relives itself.
Yes,
you're not
totally.
a child, you're an adult now, and we have more skills, we have more tools. So just noticing where, even if it's not the behavior, but it's the emotional posture of where we're coming from, or the thought, where that is, that might set us up for flashbacks, I'd say.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I think you're right. This is how we turn the power back on.
Yeah, it comes together. It's
It's, I think when we have been cut off from ourselves because of pain from that long ago, we cut off from ourselves. So the power is not on. It's not, go back and watch our first episode if you want to understand this awesome metaphor. But when you want to have your power on, which is a continual flow of energy in all of the different energetic states, then these points of blockage, whether you actually get to the events or the events that led to them or not, I don't know that that's always possible or necessary. I think it is possible and necessary to kind of body scan yourself, and especially when you have those triggered moments. Again, going back to my example of the aggressive corporate guy who's trying to put everybody below him in his place or in their place, that was triggering to me, and I felt it in my body, and I felt it before I thought. And those old things, they're always like that. You feel before you think, and sometimes you react before you think, because they're the fast pathways. They were laid down decades ago. Your brain made fast wiring so that you could react, because at the time it was to keep safe. But now as an adult, it's maladaptive. But at least when you start to see your triggers, you can go, okay, I don't want to show up that way anymore. You've called it out, you've named it. And that's where I think you can start to build the bridge to new ways of being, but also to releasing that pain from your body.
Yeah.
Even if you don't actually see or do regressive hypnotherapy and things like that. You debatable whether that's needed.
Really simple things and again, this goes to the accountability of the interior design. When you talk about your physical self, if you're in a space where you're feeling attacked, or you're feeling that, I'm saying we're not talking about physical danger. We're talking more of, verbal, or just space where you're just feeling overwhelmed. A really simple thing to do with the posture is just to lean back.
That's interesting.
So many times we are leaning forward into somebody else's energy. And when we're trying to align our interior design, if we're leaning into somebody else's energy, even on a physical sense, that person thinks we're interested, or we want more. And the more we are subservient to that energy, if you think about what happens, if somebody's just physically imagine somebody yelling at somebody else, the person they're yelling at, kind of the shoulders get bent, they start losing confidence, and they start leaning towards the person yelling at them. So you have the person yelling at them at the top, and then this person starts to do this.
Almost curling down.
Curling down.
Yeah.
But if we're aware of our interior design, and we're aware of ourselves, as soon as this happens, you either step back, which automatically creates space between you and that other
Mm-hmm.
person, which gives them less, as in, it's like they're feeding off an energy. So they can feed from here,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't seed from
Mm-hmm.
here.
Yeah.
And it can't enter you
Yeah.
if you're not open to it entering. And
Yeah.
so on a physical level, when we start working on ourselves with that body scan, we are less susceptible to repeat some of those habits if we're aware of our bodies and saying, like, the body's a vehicle. It's there as a utensil. It's your
Mm.
it's your first home on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
Noticing, oh, when I'm doing this, what is that like, what is that making me feel? And certain
Yeah.
postures will help create support within our spine and within our bodies, and also communicate to the person that we are engaging with
Right.
whatever it is that we can. The same with another little one would be like, women have a really challenging time with their core.
Mm.
And a lot of times the thing is when we have challenges with indigestion, it has to do with our core muscles not being strong enough, but also the leaking energy that
Mm.
kind of just leaks between our legs. So it's just noticing, if you're sitting, when you're
Mhm.
sitting, like if you bring your knees closer together and you stabilize, like, your feet flat on the ground, the bottoms of your feet, and you're sitting up straight, you have more access
Mm.
to that energy, and less of it kind of leaks out day to day. Just noticing, what are the postures that give me less power?
Mm.
What are the postures that give me more power? And what happens is that gives our that to strengthen the nervous system,
Mhm.
which, when we are more vulnerable, we are much more susceptible to all sorts of things.
Oh my
But
gosh,
when
yeah.
we're stronger, on a better day, we don't feel so attacked.
Yeah.
And that's also a misconception, where a lot of people are like, oh, I'm much more sensitive. Yes, we all are. We all have our fluctuations,
Mm.
but there's certain things that we can do day to day to strengthen ourselves. It's like emotional immunity,
Mm. Yeah.
it's like you're not
Inoculating
catching
yourself.
things from somebody. Yeah. So that's
Do
the
you,
long-winded
do you
answer to
think,
that.
no, I think that was beautifully said. And as you were talking about the postures, it made me think about the breath. And I was curious
Yeah.
if the postures that are most conducive to whole breath are also the postures we want to aim for.
The thing is, and that's the thing, even with your own words, like, if you're feeling attacked, for us, we have a tendency also of talking faster. We try to get
Oh,
in as
yeah.
many words as we can.
Yeah,
But
especially
if you actually
women.
want that other person, to hear you, speak slower.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're going to get a lot more, even in the tonality of the voice,
Mm-hmm.
when the voice is a little deeper in the octave, the person takes you more seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
And every word is potent, and then you don't lose your breath, and then you don't lose your nervous system. Like,
Yeah.
you're able to pace yourself.
And I will say, don't beat yourself up if all this sounds like a wonderful goal to attain, to strive towards, but like impossible feeling in your reality at the moment. These are things that you can get to, we can all get to, but I think need practice. And some of us need more practice in certain areas.
100%.
And the one about speaking our truth and like being able to speak, because the way we communicate isn't only verbal, but the primary way we communicate is verbal in our world today as we understand it. So if your words disappear from you when you're in these moments, which I absolutely understand and empathize with, because it's something I'm working on very much still, it's practice on the people who love you
Yeah.
and who say like they believe in you no matter what. Because I think a lot of us are, that feeling of compression is so intense that even if we can hold our bodies in the way that we want to, like, the words can sometimes be lost to us. And a friend of mine who is a guy, he's an older gentleman who's been in many different careers and life chapters, so he's got a lot of great insights. He told me that one thing that is really useful, he used it in his corporate career and just with like difficult situations in general, but he was recommending it to me as somebody who gets stuck when somebody's being kind of putting me in a place that's bringing me to that, like, my words are gone, I'm having compression, is to just take the energy and throw it back at them. And
Mhm.
in the sense of like, ask a question, anything at all. And if you can just get to that first step, you've taken the energy ball that was coming at you and you've thrown it back their way. And now they can do
Mhm.
something else with it. Or if it's a room full of people, ask the room a question. Just get the energy off of you as a step one.
Yeah.
I thought that was
That's very true. That's
small,
very
simple.
powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a really easy way of doing this, because even if in that situation you're blanking, you throw the exact question they asked you at them.
That's right.
So it's like sometimes you're like, what am I? Yeah, just throw that right.
Yes, absolutely.
And usually the questions stop.
Or yeah, right. Like, I mean, something's going to happen that's different than the energy as it is at the moment. Like it's going to be different from how it
Mhm.
is. And,
Mhm.
that's a very empowering place, I think, is when you start to realize you actually can craft the energy around you more than you
But
don't have
I
to be
think,
always
yeah,
reacting.
I feel like when we slow down and when we start to curate, and I think that comes back to like this kind of period in life, as in, hitting like your 40s, you start to understand also the type of energy you like to be around, the supportive energy. Like you're done experimenting, I think, as well,
Well,
in the sense
maybe
that
what you
like,
don't like, at
yeah.
least.
But the beauty is that I think now more than ever, you can really curate a healthy environment for yourself where you can consciously choose healthier people. There are a lot of people that are working on themselves, and you don't have to like remove anybody out of your life. You could just focus on creating space for healthier individuals, healthier interactions. And this starts from a micro level to a macro level, in the sense of, what are you doing every day, and what thoughts are you having, what are you consuming, just little big, and it starts with little things. And I think going back to that thing of like zeroing in on yourself, in the sense that you can't control the people in your life, but if you have good habits, you're going to attract a certain energy and repel a different
Yeah,
energy.
that's true. That's true.
And so that accuracy in itself is like you are protecting yourself, and you're even protecting yourself from your previous traumas
Yes.
when you start to do that. Because when you're in a space where you have healthy habits, that is what heals the past. It's when we haven't healed, like when we're still struggling, to when we haven't healed the past. So it's kind of that balance of like, it really, really comes down to curating your environment.
Yeah.
And your environment is like they always say you're influenced more by your environment than your personality.
Yeah.
So like, what is that for you? What is your environment? And that will tell you a lot about yourself.
And that's true. And it is another place we can take our agency and be in charge of something. And I think for many of us women, that's something that's so important, is like realizing that you have agency to make those choices, to make the good coffee. And you know what? No one is gonna we got to get better at being okay with people being upset with us, saying no to us, not liking us, all of these things, right? Because taking that time, showing up in the way we want to show up, like you said, it's going to repel some people. Be okay with that. The fact that you're repelling some people means you're finally standing in an opinion about life. And that's an awesome place to be. I think that's what this part of life is all about, is discovering and kind of unifying everything you've learned and taken in so far, choosing what you want to leave behind, choosing what you want to build the future on. Like, we don't want to build our futures based upon our understanding of the past. So it's a time to think about, what is the life we want to show up in? How do we want to show up? Boom. What's the theme this week?
Mic
Transformation.
I don't even know. That's so good. That's life process, man.
Absolutely.
I don't know. But yeah, it'll come to you with editing, right?
I don't know if I need to edit this much.
I don't think you need to edit at all. Like, it seems like it's good. Yeah.
But like Esther said at the beginning, if you have any questions, or you want to leave us feedback, that's constructive, please. I'm not like the person who left some note the other day to me about not being pretentious. That was one of those moments where I was like, I don't think I need to even read that. Like, I'm just deleting that because it was like, there's nothing pretentious about what we're doing here. No, it was deleted before. It was so strange. It was like misspelled and stuff. But it was like, okay, that's just a reminder that we're always going to have that. You know, once you start to actually take steps to show up, it's like, yeah, good. People won't like it. People will like it. That's not why we're doing it. We want to help each other. I think it's an awesome thing to give a person a little bit of tidbit that might like let the sunshine into their life on a given day. So
I'm loving how this whole experience is developing, and I hope all of this is useful to you. Feel free if there are any topics you want us to address, or if you want to hear more about what we do. We both write newsletters.
Yes, we do.
And we both add information and on a daily basis we both add okay,
you're good.
We both have amazing newsletters which take some of these topics and we kind of dilute it so they're easily digestible. So feel free to like join us and join the journey. And thanks for being here.
Yeah, totally. Also, now I just lost my train of thought too. I think that's good. Esther, it's always so much fun. I look forward to next week. And we will be taking a little break because we'll be taking a little break for September because we need a little break, but be back. We're not taking a break now, but we'll have another episode, I think, and then we'll take a little break and then we'll be back. So that's a great opportunity to let us know some topics you might want us to cover and thoughts. We look forward to it. And thank you for listening. See you next time.
Yeah.